Happy Magical Monday, dear ones. I hope you had a wonderful weekend and that you somehow, in your very busy schedule, fitted in some self-care for yourself. Self-care is very, very important because perhaps during the week we found ourselves rushing from pillar to post, being pulled in all directions by everyone, and we may not necessarily have that time for self-care, even though to give yourself 15 minutes out of 24 hours a day is important. And if you start at 15 minutes and you bring yourself into that space for 15 minutes solidly on your own for yourself, then of course it is so much easier to extend that time eventually to half an hour, and then over the weekends perhaps to be able to give yourself an hour a day. Surely 1 hour out of 24 is a gift that you can afford to give yourself. And so today it is Magical Monday. We are continuing on the journey of the chakras, and we're now going to deal with the throat chakra. Now, this chakra is developed between the ages of 28 to 35, but it is, like the heart chakra, also touched upon during our formative years, and this one specifically between the ages of 7 to 12. So when we are looking at the ages that this chakra is developed, what happened to you between the age of 28 and 35? And then look back to how you were allowed to express yourself between the ages of 7 and 12, and see how the ages between 7 and 12 relate to how you are between the ages of 28 to 35, how you actually managed to communicate your truth, and whether you were actually able to communicate your truth, and if that actually reflects on the time before, from the ages of 7 to 12, if that reflects how you were taught to express yourself, whether you were extremely verbose and were allowed to just speak your mind and say anything that came into your head, or if you were given a very, very dense filter that didn't allow a lot of your own thoughts out of your mouth. And how did that affect how you communicate with yourself? Please bear in mind that being impeccable with your word is coming in here, and how you communicated with other people, how you were able to communicate what really happened, or how you really felt within yourself, or if you had to always temper that with something else, or whether you were a liar. Sometimes young children tend to tell lies to find out where their boundaries are. Now, boundaries are very, very important, but as we grow older, and especially women, tend to be a little bit more flexible on their boundaries to keep the peace. So let us look at how we learnt how to express ourselves. But before we do that, we're going to look at the profile of the throat chakra. Its element is the ether, and its ruling planet is Mercury. So Mercury is known to be very changeable. Its sense is sound or hearing. Its astrological sign is Gemini and Virgo, and its music is chanting. So the Gregorian chant, Om chants, any of your monastery or monk chants will actually help. And if you try and chant with that, it actually tends to help you to resonate at a better frequency. Also choir music and the sounds of wind or the ocean. Food, liquids in general, and tart or tangy fruit. So water, fruit juices, herbal teas, and apples, pears, plums, peaches, apricots, etc. And other tree-growing fruits like lemons, limes, grapefruit, and kiwis. The spices, salt, and lemongrass. So you can see all of that fragrance, but also very tart or slightly bitter flavors as well. The essential oils that can be used for healing practices in baths or in a diffuser: the German blue chamomile, myrrh, frankincense, basil, peppermint, sage, lavender, cypress, tea tree, and neroli. Crystals, which can also be used to assist you on your healing journey: all the blue ones: turquoise, lapis lazuli, aquamarine, and I have a piece of aquamarine. Sorry, this is not aquamarine, this is azurite. I don't have a piece with me at the moment. I will make sure that I send a photograph. Blue lace agate, celestite, sodalite, sapphire, aqua aura, and chrysocolla. Its Sanskrit name is Vishada, which also means purification. Purpose, communication, creativity, so purposeful thoughts and speech, sound on a higher level, communication with wisdom, because words bring true value to communication and how we actually express ourselves. The life lesson here is the power of choice and personal expression. So we are allowed to choose what we want to say, and very often when we do not have a balanced chakra, then we are knee-jerking and then things just come out of our mouths. So we need to know when to say something, and when we do say it, to say it with light and love, with respect and reverence for all life. And that is where being impeccable with your word comes in. The life lesson, as I say, power of choice, personal expression. How do you express yourself as a human being, as who you are? The color, as I'm sure you've guessed by now, is bright blue, and its location is in the throat, or the pharyngeal plexus, this whole area here. The endocrine gland, as you can tell by the area that it is in, is the thyroid or the parathyroid, and its identity is creative. Think of all of those people who are musicians and who sing, or public speakers who are able to express themselves creatively by speaking, and its orientation is self-expression. So how we express ourselves, how does somebody know who you are? Well, you tell them, if they're willing to hear, of course. But how does somebody know who you are? If they just look at your appearance, they're going to judge you on what you're wearing, and we all know not to judge a book by its cover. So when the book speaks, when the person speaks, the things they do say, the things they don't say, tells us about who they are. And the demon or counterforce of this particular chakra is lies, everything we do not say. And although not saying something to somebody is not a lie as such, sometimes not telling somebody about something is in itself holding that back, holding that truth back. The basic right of this chakra is to speak and be heard. And very often when you find yourself very silenced in any of your communications, we very often have a bronchitis or laryngitis, an infection that takes our voice away. And if you're experiencing a little bit of that at the moment, it is because you're unable to speak your truth and to express yourself as you truly are. Balanced characteristics of this chakra include a resonant voice, being a good listener, because we have one mouth and two ears. So when you want to understand somebody else, we listen first and we speak once we have heard. I was once told something very wise, cannot remember who it was now, but they said to me, there are two types of people in this world: those who listen and those who cannot wait to speak. And when we constantly interrupt somebody and we do not allow them to express themselves, we actually do not know anything about that other person. So remember to listen twice as often, twice as much as what you are speaking. And when you express yourself with love, light, and reverence. Another good or balanced characteristic is a good sense of timing and rhythm. Being a clear communicator, direct. Don't make somebody assume. Don't communicate in a way that makes somebody have to read between the lines. If somebody asks you a question that has got a yes/no answer, answer yes or no. Don't make a big convoluted thing about it and make it about something else. That person has never actually received the response, and that means that you're not hearing them, you're not listening to them. So it's important to be a clear communicator. When you write and when you speak, communicate in a way that it cannot be misunderstood for anything other than what you truly mean. And that is a good balanced characteristic of this chakra. And a person who's got balanced characteristics of this particular chakra also lives creatively. And there we go, dear ones. That's our magical Monday update on the throat chakra, and we will get into it a little bit more tomorrow. Remember the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Do not assume anything. Don't take anything personally. Always do your best. And of course, the 5 Reiki principles. Just for today, do not worry. Just for today, do not anger. Just for today, work honestly and hard on yourself, and do your work honestly. Just for today, be kind to all living things. Just for today, be grateful for everything you have. Much love to you all.